Alrighty, cutting a window into your van, it can be a daunting task. It never feels right cutting a big hole into your van, no matter how many times you've done it. So like I said, the client's already done the stage one. This would be in that services part. We are using the Eurovision Slimline 2 windows. They look awesome. They're super slimline on the outside, and they look really good on the vans. They're the awning style. They've got the inbuilt fly screen and lockout blind. So they're great, and you'll see that as we go in the finished product. They look really cool. Setting your window up, there's never a point really that you can work off, right? Because we're not in a house. We've got nothing to measure off that's dead square, dead level. You know, we're parked on an uneven, even if we're in our workshop, you know, the van still has a lean with the suspension no matter, you know, what type of van it is. So point of references to start off. You can take a measurement off the floor. And obviously we've templated the window onto a bit of ply. You can do it on a bit of cardboard or whatever you have. So you want to get that template done. And then pick a reference. So off the floor, you're going to measure at one point and another point, and then you can use that bottom line as a reference. Then with your template, you can sort of visually see it, right? Get it pretty close to where you want it. You'll go through, mark that out with texter. With your bracings, cutting them off, just use a grinder. Or something along those lines. Don't go through with tin snips or anything like that, because you'll dent the actual panel, right? This is not a very big panel here. So get a grinder, cover up anywhere that you want to cover up, give those a nip, and then you'll be right to mark out your window. Once you've cut it all out and you've got your window in place, get someone, or you can hold it from the inside, but you want to visually inspect it from the outside, and that is going to be what looks the best. There's a bit of play with the windows, and we'll show you that as we're doing it when we get to it. There is a little bit of play left and right, so you want to get it close off a reference point, and then when you're outside, you'll stand back and visually pick that point, and that's how you do your windows. Alrighty, so here Jem is just drilling out that center hole from that template, and this just allows us to put the board on the outside and then trace it out, and you'll see that shortly. So there's that center hole there. First up, we are just going to clean that whole panel, tape up the area where any little sawdust will be when we jigsaw it out. Jem's just going through, giving it a rough reference point. We're tracing that out now. So you can see there, that was held in there with that center screw, allowing us to trace it out. Jem's just getting that hole drilled. We're going to use the nibbler here and cut this hole out now. Check once, check twice, make sure you're happy before you do this. Now we're just going to go around and file the edges, get it ready to put some rust guard on and rust brush protection. Just go through, get a good coverage all the way through on that. So there we have our cutout. So the bracings have been cut out, Jem's made that cut, and we put our rust guard on all the edges. So now that's just going to dry, and we have to make a interior surround for the window, which helps clamp it.
So this will be inside that we glue to that panel itself, and then the window will clamp to that little cavity here. So we've just packed it out, our 16 and 12 mil, which works out perfect for that to clamp to, and then that keeps it watertight as well. So the way we like to do it is have someone on the outside who's holding the window. This is the frame on the inside that will clamp to. But first we'll just Sikaflex onto the panel on the outside of where we cut. And now we'll get the ply frame up and set it in place. And Lockie will clamp that from the outside for me, and we'll get it fairly centered. And now we'll fit the window in, and it should clamp, and the glue will go off overnight or within the next 24 to 48 hours. So I'll put my frame in place, and then Lockie will grab the window, sit it in, And then we'll just center it, then you will clamp the two, just like that. So now we have the bolts, the screw bolts, and these just line up with the frame itself. And we'll just go in just semi-tight so that we can still be able to measure it so that it's sitting parallel with the rest of the van. The most important part of the parallel or getting the measurement is the outside of the van. If it's out by 5 mil, you'll really see it from the outside. So we'll have Lockie on the outside to measure it off a straight point. And then once we got it where we want it to be, then we will go around and tighten up all the rest of our bolts. All right, guys, so we've got all the screws in now. We just like to hand tighten them just because they are quite small, and if you try and get in with an impact driver and it's hammering in, they can snap. But you want to hand tighten them so that the rubber on the outside clamps to the panel itself. So since we got that off camera as well, we had Lockie on the outside. He just measured to the frame to make sure it was running parallel with the rest of the van. So now, the last steps, we have our blind. Pretty cool system, has a block out blind, but it also has a fly screen attached to it. So it's quite easy to maneuver. It's just got, in each corner has screw holes, 4 screw holes in each corner. And the actual frame sits on top of our window itself and kind of sits in place like that. Now to stop it rattling, we've got to put our screws in, and how we do that is we like to center it with the frame itself, which you can just do with your eye essentially. And then I like to start in one corner and put the screw in. Again, you don't want to over tighten it. We're working with plastics and light alley as well. So once that corner is in, I like to just measure off the ground. Because we've got a kitchen benchtop going in underneath, we want to make sure that this frame is going to run parallel with that and not sitting out 5 or 10 mil. So I'll just measure each corner and then just adjust it accordingly. Okay. And we'll go there. So then I like to pin my other corner. And there, and then that just clips back down. Now your bottom can go left and right, and you just follow the same process. So that unclips, just like that. Again, we want to just make sure it's running square with everything. It's quite easy just to eye it up. You can measure it off a side if it's very close to a bit of cabinetry. You can eye it up, but for us it's kind of free floating, so we can just fix it where it looks good with the eye. That's one corner and the other.
Alrighty, so here you can see we've gone through and battened the van, but this was the panel, right, that clamps the window to the van. Now, to finish it all off, in this instance, we are running our lining boards into it. So we make a window frame like this, which sits in around the window. This is the same color as our cabinetry. It's a nice gray color. And then our lining boards will just run right up into this edge. We'll leave it about 1 mil, and then we can finish it with a nice gap. So that's how we will finish our window frame. In this instance, where we have wall linings running into it, I'll show you another instance where we wouldn't have wall linings and it will be like a sliding door. So this is the exact same window, a different scenario now. This is on a sliding door, and you can see that this has been templated to the whole shape of the window. Instead of, we don't have any linings running into this one, so it has to be a nice, neat finish. So you pick your material and follow the exact same steps that we've just showed you. and then wrap that ply in the material of your choice, and exact same process. Glue it on, and that's your finish for when you don't have any wall linings butting into it.
Fairly straightforward process once you get the hang of it. It can be scary cutting into a van, but if you just follow the right steps, we like to template everything when we cut into vans, just double check and double check again. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward and very easy to fit. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys, and we look forward to seeing you in another one.